That is the agreement between the United States government and the government of the Republic of Ghana on defense cooperation, the status of United States forces, and access to and use of agreed facilities and areas in the Republic of Ghana ought not to be executed by the president. It should not be. It's a bad agreement. It's not in the interest of this country. Now, let me state it for the record, and I'm prepared to argue and debate this agreement with the Minister for Defense, and if you can arrange it, for me to demonstrate conclusively that this agreement is establishing a base in Ghana. You might choose, like Humpty Dumpty, the minister can call it use any word or any name for this agreement, and intends that it means that. But what inference, reasonable inference, will you draw from the 19 articles of the agreement?
Please show us, because he says that he has assurances from the U.S. that it's not a military base.
That is why I'm saying.
And in any case, that is not in the agreement.
Like Humpty Dumpty, if you have assurances, that doesn't take away the reasonable inference.
Show us, because first of all, that's the bone of contention.
Now, let me tell you why, and our leader, the minority leader, captured succinctly why we oppose this agreement. Yeah. We are not opposing a security and defense cooperation agreement with the United States. Yeah. But this agreement, in the form it is, doesn't serve our national interest, and that's what we are opposing. It ought to be put on record. Now, we are opposing it on 4 or so grounds. The constitutionality of the agreement. And I will demonstrate to you why this cannot be an agreement that should be ratified. 2, the legality of that agreement. 3, the ethical and moral issues raised in this agreement. On those 4 grounds. 1, constitutionally, this agreement came to Parliament pursuant to Article 75 of the Constitution. If you have a student of constitutional law, you would have read in Mudbury and Madison the power of the executive to enter into treaties. For the treaty to be a legal document, that treaty will be executed by the executive. For it to have binding authority on the state, that treaty has to be ratified in Parliament. So you have procedure, you have motions that you have to go through. This treaty or agreement has not been executed by the president. And the defense minister says so in 4 places in his memo to Parliament. And the last, I'll just read one of those places. It says that, and that is paragraph 5. I will start with paragraph 1, but let me start with paragraph 5. No, the first time he refers to this agreement, it says that renewal, and that is paragraph 2, the introduction, that renewal of commitment is outlined in the instant draft agreement. Parliament the power of Parliament to ratify an agreement is not to ratify a draft agreement. It's to ratify an executed agreement.
What's the meaning of an executed agreement?
Execution in law, to say that an agreement has been executed, means that it has now gotten a legal force between the parties, but cannot be binding on the state until it is so ratified by Parliament. It becomes part of the laws of the state. Now, the second time he refers to this agreement is paragraph 5. It says that all the ministers, and the draft agreement was variously reviewed by the Attorney General, blah, 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 blah. And they made input into the draft agreement in order to ensure that it reflected the true interests of the country. Draft agreement. The third time is that in paragraph 6, on the 7th and 8th of August, to ensure fair terms for both parties in the draft agreement. So he, by the memo that he sends to Parliament, that he has brought to Parliament, he has mentioned on not less than 5 times. The last time is that Parliament is hereby requested to consider and ratify the instant draft agreement. And I say categorically and without any fear of contradiction that the power of Parliament to ratify an agreement is invoked when that agreement, treaty, or convention has been executed.
Meaning there ought to have been signatures.
It ought to have been signed by the parties.
It wasn't signed.
Not, it says so.
Sure.
So clearly says so. So on the basis of
but as we speak now, you know that this has become a matter for the Supreme Court. Broja Jemfi of the NDC and one other gentleman by name Emmanuel Kotin, I think in separate suits, have gone to the Supreme Court saying that because of the non-signing or execution of the this before it got to Parliament, it is null and void, and the Supreme Court must declare so. Yes.
Then, when you talk about, look at paragraph 9. Paragraph 9 seeks to establish a duality of legal regimes in this country.
Paragraph
duality.
Paragraph 9 of what?
Of the draft agreement,
yes,
which has been ratified.
Please read it.
Establishes a dual regimes.
Please read it.
Dual legal regimes. The United States forces may conclude contracts for the acquisition of goods and services, including construction in Ghana, in accordance with the United States laws and regulations. In Ghana, in accordance with United States laws and the United, okay, then it says again, acquisition of goods and services in Ghana by or on behalf of the United States forces shall not be subject to taxes, any taxes, custom duties, or similar charges imposed by Ghana or its instrumentalities or any subdivision thereof.
That's not different from what you have in the previous agreements. That's
the duality
signed to.
The duality.
The tax waivers.
The tax, it's a tax waiver. So the president ought to have signaled, certified that, look, or executed this agreement, and so that it comes to Parliament for us to consider whether or not to grant them tax waivers.
Tell us what you mean by the duality of...
The duality simply means that and that's why I want to establish there's a base here. And look at the United States forces, and I've counted as many as 6 areas where you can possibly infer that you are looking at bases.
You are inferring.
Yeah, yes, infer.
Okay.
Yes, it's an inference.
Okay.
The first time you are inferring that this is a base, it says that, and you start from military status of military personnel and civilian personnel in this country.
Article 2.
Article 2. That's the diplomatic status. That's the diplomatic status. That is definition. The United States forces mean the forces of the United States Department of Defense, hereafter known as DOD, including its constituent organizations, and all its property, equipment, that is military accoutrement, material, and its military personnel and civilian personnel present within the territory of Ghana in connection with this agreement. That's the first time you get an impression that it's a definition. So you are looking to isolate and identify a classified group of people within the territory. And that is identifying them for different treatments. Now, the second time that you can infer that there's an agreement, it says that
there's a base. It's
there's
a military base.
That Ghana hereby provides an unimpeded access to and use of agreed facilities and areas to the United States forces, United States contractors, and others as mutually agreed. Unimpeded access. Such agreed facilities and areas and portions thereof provided by Ghana shall be designated as either for exclusive use. What is that meant to be? Yeah. What is that meant to be? That means that will be their base. Yeah. Or if it is for the joint use of the United States forces of Ghana, then so they have set up 2 regimes. Areas that will be for the exclusive use of the United States forces, and if some areas are defined for the joint use of the Ghana and United States, what will follow? If the area is designated as the exclusive territorial area or for exclusive use of the United States, then Ghana government's responsibility to provide security will be limited to providing security within the outer perimeter of the area. You know what that means? It means that we cannot go into that area.
Why would you want to go into the area if you had agreed and ceded the area to them?
Yes, so if we can't go into that area, it's out of bounds. That's the normal thing that people say, out of bounds to Ghana. And it is only bases that are for the exclusive use that is out of bounds to the indigenes of the area. Now, if the area is for the joint use, then Ghana maintains security within and without. That's significant. You ought to know that. Now, thirdly, the United States forces are hereby authorized to control entry. So, the most ludicrous part is that they will even, as United States forces, provide agreement 2. And I'm reading for emphasis sake. This agreement sets forth the framework for enhanced partnership and security cooperation between the parties with the aim of strengthening their defense relationship further and addressing shared security challenges in the region, including, for emphasis, including those relating to protection of government personnel and facilities. So it won't be long. You will see that if Ghana and the United States so agree, you will find the United States military providing personnel, protection for government personnel. So the bodyguard, you can find them. And then also taking guard at Flagstaff House and other areas. It's here in the agreement. Yeah. It's in the agreement. And then to get you understand.
But you say this makes the arrangement a military base?
No.
That's the argument you are making. You have finished there.
I'm not finished there. There are so many because That's why I'm saying that we could sit down and argue out all the agreements, including tax waivers, including the fact that
new.
Oh, they're not new. Yes, I'm not saying they're new. But I'm saying that reading the agreement as a whole, clearly, and I've seen other agreements, clearly, including even bringing equipment and non-licensing, permitting us to license those equipment, including not allowing us to inspect those equipment when they arrive. They're all in the agreement. But I'm saying that I have counted not less than 5 areas in this agreement.
So what is the fear? What is the fear? If you can do that in a summary quickly, in a minute, what is the fear? What is it? If granted it's a base, what? So what?
The first fear is that why did the president not execute the agreement before he came to parliament?
Yeah. We have dealt with that already.
No. That's not a fear. That's a constitutional breach.
Yeah.
That's a constitutional breach. What is the fear? We're not dealing with apprehension. Okay? Why didn't the president execute it? You don't see that the president is shifting responsibility for the agreement to parliament? Why will the president shift responsibility? Don't you think that the president himself has an inherent...
If it is a base, granted, what is the fear? What's the problem?
The fear is that it compromises and I've read Professor Bafo Ajimandua's article in the Graphic of Thursday. It compromises our security.
Not our sovereignty.
But if it compromises our security, it could compromise our sovereignty.
Because that's the lead, focus of the demonstration.
Okay, so it compromises our sovereignty.
We have sort of sold our sovereignty.
We've sold our sovereignty. I mean, they can come into this country with impunity. With the sailors identification card, like now with the military identification card, and they are roaming. They can be in their military guard in this country. They can drive their vehicles. When they bring their vehicles, they don't need to license them in accordance with the license number plates of this country. They drive them the way they are. Okay, so if you want, you could say that Ghana, by signing this agreement, is constituting the country into a satellite state of the United States of America.
Interesting.
Yes.
A satellite state of the United States of America. Yeah.